You ever wake up to a morning so perfect it feels like a painting? That was me, sitting on my porch, coffee steaming in my hand, the sun rising over Clearline Lake. The water was still as glass. Birds chirped like they were auditioning for a Disney flick, and I thought, this is peace. This is what I worked for. Then, out of nowhere, gravel crunched like a bad omen. Car doors slammed. A voice screeched my name looked like I'd just stolen Christmas. I squinted across my property line, and there they were. 2 sheriff's cars parked like they were staging a raid. Standing next to them, arms crossed, looking like she was ready to star in a reality show called HOA Nightmares, was Linda, the president of Ridgeview Heights. The subdivision across the lake, my lake, the one I own. That little detail. Yeah, she couldn't wrap her head around it. Welcome to my story, folks. And if you're hooked, smash that subscribe button for more wild tales on my YouTube channel. Midnight. Linda pointed at my cabin like she was nailing a suspect in a lineup. Officers, she said, voice dripping with self-righteous venom. He's got unpermitted structures. He's disturbing the peace. And that dock. Total violation. I stood there, coffee going cold, blinking like I'd wandered into someone else's fever dream. Linda, I said, keeping my cool. I live alone. The loudest thing on my dock is me cussing when I stub my toe. The younger deputy, a kid who looked like he'd rather be fishing, gave me a sympathetic glance. The older one, sporting a mustache so serious it could star in a western, adjusted his mirrored shades and said, "Sir, do you have documentation for this structure?" I nodded toward my cabin. "Sure do, and while we're at it, I've got the deed for the lake, too." Linda scoffed so hard I thought she'd choke on her own ego. "No one owns an entire lake," she snapped, like I'd claimed I owned the moon. I didn't argue. I just strolled into my cabin, grabbed the file I kept for moments like this per moments. County surveys, title transfer, the whole enchilada and spread it across the hood of my truck like a winning poker hand. The deputies scanned it in silence. Mustache let out a low whistle. Linda, her face went red. Not, "Oops, my bad, Red. But I'm about to blow a gasket and take you down with me, Red." I knew this wasn't over. This was just round 1. If you're loving this drama, drop a like and join the Midnight Tales crew for more stories that'll keep you up past your bedtime. Let me back up. My name's Luke, and I wasn't always a laconing, HOA battling hermit. I used to grind and tack out in Phoenix long hours. Endless emails, stress that aged me a decade and half the time. I dreamed of escaping the noise, finding a slice of land off the grid where I could breathe. After years of saving, hunting, and lawyer fees, I found it Clearline Lake, untouched, privately owned, a hidden gem. The whole thing shoreline water, all of it was deeded as one parcel. I bought it fair and square, built my cabin with my own hands, using local timber and a couple of local guys for the heavy lifting. I didn't move here to flex or make a statement, I just wanted quiet. But quiet, apparently, was too loud for Linda C. Her HOA had a small patch of shoreline they used for swimming and kayaking, written into their easement rights. I was fine with that. Live and let live, right? Until Linda decided the lake was everyone's lake. She started calling it our lake in HOA newsletters. Tried to dictate how I used my own property. At first it was petty whining that my canoe was visually disruptive, complaints about me planting ferns too close to the water. I responded politely, sent her copies of my property lines, the deed, figuring she'd back off. Spoiler, she didn't. If you've ever dealt with an HOA Karen, you know where this is going? Share your own stories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Midnight Tales for more epic battles. After the sheriff showdown, things escalated faster than a wildfire in a windstorm. I started getting legal letters from the HOA's lawyer, accusing me of restricting community access and demanding I pay into their lake maintenance fund. Wild right. I'm the one pulling algae and clearing driftwood, but sure, send me a bill. Then came the bombshell. They claimed the lake might fall under some dusty public domain ordinance from the 1800s. I read that letter, and my brain short-circuited. It was so absurd I almost laughed. Almost I called my lawyer, Curthers, a retired judge with a voice like a bourbon barrel rolling downhill. He skimmed their claim and said, "It's garbage, Luke, but garbage can stink up your life if you let it sit too long. You want to keep playing defense, or do we go on offense?" I chose offense. We drafted a letter and sent it to every Ridgeview homeowner, laying out the deed, the easement terms, and making it crystal clear. Anything outside their designated area was trespassing. Then we upped the anti-big signs, screaming private property, no trespassing, owned by Luke Weston. We even dropped buoys in the lake to mark the boundary. For good measure, I bought a boat, slapped lake patrol on the side, and cruised around now and then. Not to harass anyone, just to make my presence felt. That's when Linda lost it. Over the years, her HOA had been creeping into my water. A few extra feet here, a little more dock there. So I rented a barge, hired a crew, and carefully dismantled. Their overreach didn't break a thing, just moved their stuff back to their side. Linda showed up screaming like someone keyed her Lexus. "You can't do this. We'll soup." I didn't say a word, just stood on my dock, watching the crane lifter HOAS dock section like a bad idea being evicted from my lake. It was glorious. Want more moments like this? Hit that subscribe button on Midnight Tales and join the fight for freedom. But then it got nasty. A week later, my neighbor Gusan, older guy with a face like a walnut and wisdom like a worm, pocket-knifed up with a flyer in his hand. Luke, you might want to see this. The headline screamed * Lake Monopolist Exposed. Below was a grainy photo of me and a laundry list of lies. Failed businessman, tax cheat, even a hint. I was experimenting on the ecosystem. My stomach dropped. This wasn't about property anymore. This was personal. We traced the flyers back to Linda. Her style was all over it. Kurthers called it actionable. I called it war. I decided to take the fight to her turf, the Ridgeview HOA meeting. Packed house. Tension thick enough to cut with a chainsaw. Linda tried to limit my time, but the bylaws were clear. I walked in with a stack of papers, deeds, permits, ecological reports, and laid it all out. Then I held up the flyer and dissected each lie, calm and factual, no theatrics. When I finished, the room was dead silent. Then a guy in the back stood up and asked Linda, point blank, "Did you write this?" She stammered, tried to spin it, but the room wasn't buying it. The board turned on her. The residents saw through her lake tyrant nonsense. She resigned that week. Her house hit the market a month later. If you're cheering right now, drop a comment and subscribe to Midnight Tales for more stories of justice served. The new HOA board sent me an apology letter. We agreed to keep the peace. They rebuilt their dock properly this time, and I even let them use a bit more shoreline just because they asked nicely. Now the lake is quiet again. Real quiet. Most mornings I'm back on my dock with my coffee. Same spot where this all started. Gus swings by sometimes. Crooked grin and half-rotten zucchini in hand. He swears there's a catfish the size of a couch lurking in the deep end. I haven't seen it, but after everything I've seen from people, I'm willing to believe anything. Sometimes though I wonder, what if Linda hadn't pushed? What if I'd caved? Would the lake still be mine? Or would it be another playground for folks who never learned to share? I drew a line, fought for what was mine, and won. But did I go too far? Not far enough. I want to hear from you. Was I right to stand my ground? Have you ever had to fight for what's yours? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your stories. And let's talk about ownership, community, and what happens when peace isn't enough. If you love this tale, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications for Midnight Tales. We've got more stories coming that'll keep you glued to your screen. This whole saga started with a dream, a quiet life by my lake. I left the city, built my cabin, and thought I'd found my slice of heaven. But heaven comes with a price, and sometimes that price is dealing with a Linda. She thought she could bully me, rewrite the rules, and claim what wasn't hers. She didn't count on me fighting back. The sheriffs, the letters, the flyers, it was a circus, but I held my ground. Clearline Lake is mine, not because I'm greedy, but because I earned it. Every permit, every survey, every drop of sweat I poured into this place says so. Linda's gone, the lake's quiet, and I'm still here, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise. That's victory, that's peace. But I know it's fragile, so tell me, what would you have done? How far would you go to protect what's yours? Let's keep this conversation going on Midnight Tailors. See you in the next one.